You heard that, innit? 7:30. Cut off point. Not a minute more. Bound by time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulih. पानी भी पिलाएंगे ऐसा ही सूखा सूखा. Let me tell you a story, brothers. In fact, let me tell you two stories. One is very recent. Last night, Molana Talha Sahab lent me a kitab. So before Jummah today, I went to check if somebody's returned the kitab. So when I walked in to the office, the mashura was going on. I had no idea, wallah. And then I was told to sit down. And then I was given Maghrib Bayan. So here I am. So the moral of the story is, don't go into the office. Or don't return the kitab. The main story I want to tell you. Once we were doing Gasht in High Wycombe near Slough. So we had some cards, but the cards were outdated. So we weren't too sure of the houses. So we were knocking on the doors. So we got to one house, and there was a slope, there was an embankment. Lower down there was some garages, and there was a white indigenous person washing his car. So we started knocking on this door. So he looked up. It turned out that it was his house. So he shouted up to us. He said, "Yes, can we help you?" So, our elders, they say, don't say, "Oh, sorry, wrong number," and walk off, and don't arouse suspicion. Right? So the rahbar, he said, "Oh, is this your house?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, we're looking for Abdul. We're looking for Abdullah." That's what they're told to say. So this guy, this Englishman, he was the stereotype of an Englishman, an England fan. He had the England t-shirt on, tattoos, bald, lager out kind of appearance, yeah. So he looked at us and he laughed and he goes, "Well, I'm not Abdul," right? And he said it a few times. We had a laugh, and his point is going like, he goes, "Well, do I look like Abdul? I'm not Abdul. I'm not Abdul." And we said, "Oh, obviously not. Sorry." Right? And we had a laugh, and then we apologized. We went back to the car. So when we got into the car, one of the sati, he goes, "Amir Sahab, उसने कहा वो अब्दुल नहीं है, उसने गलत कहा है." He said he's not Abdullah, he's not a slave of Allah. उसने गलत कहा है. He is Abdullah, but it's just that he's not realized. So Amir Sahab said, "Bhai, everyone make dua that this poor guy, he realizes that he is Abdullah." And that, brothers, is the purpose of our life. In a nutshell, we are slaves of Allah. We are not slaves of dunya. We are not slaves of our businesses, of our empires, of our money, of our desires. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Allah Ta'ala says, have you seen that person who made his desires his God? That's how bad it can get. We are slaves of Allah, sent into the world by Allah to worship Allah, to go back to Allah, to answer to Allah, and to be rewarded by Allah. Purpose of our life. But so many of us, just as that guy, he didn't understand that I am Abdullah. He said, "I'm not Abdul." In the same way, we, if we are honest with ourselves, we have only partially understood the purpose of our life, and that we are supposed to be submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are nothing. Ours is nothing. Allah is everything. Like one elder said, "Sab kuch kuch nahi hai. Allah sab kuch hai." I am nothing. We are nothing. Ours is nothing. Allah is everything. Allah is the ultimate. And successful is that person who bonds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why Allah Ta'ala has sent us into this world. This is why Allah Ta'ala sent the prophets. This is why we have in our times the ulama kiram, the elders, the da'is, the reminders, to remind us that we are not for this world. We're only here for a temporary transition. We've all come from Allah with a transition visa, transit visa. And when that transit visa will expire, there's a famous poem in Urdu, people read it in different ways. Na malum kis gali mein zindagi ki sham ho jaye. Momin Khan Momin ka shair hai. And some people read it, kis gari mein zindagi ki sham ho jaye. So people have a debate. It's not gali, it's gari. Yeah? So somebody said, one alim, he said, bhai, dono riwayat hai, dono qiraat hai sahi hai. Yeah? You don't know where and when. Kis gali mein aur kis gari mein zindagi ki sham ho jaye. Allah hi ko malum hai. We have been given, we're on life support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every morning when the sun would rise, this is a sunnah that has died out that we can revive. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the sun would rise, one of the du'as that he would pray, Alhamdulillah alladhi aqalana yawmana hadha. All praise to Allah who has lent me, or in our bad English we say borrowed me. He's lent me this day, walam yuhlikna bidhunubina, and I deserve to be destroyed. I don't deserve to exist due to my sins, but He, out of His mercy, He's given me one more day. So every day our visa is being extended, and when it's going to run out, we don't know. And so we have to stay focused on the purpose of our life. But we see around us, we see in our own lives, I reflect on my own life, we look around, we see absolute madness. But they say that when we shift away from deen, then madness, ulta behavior, complete foolishness becomes the norm, and the normal becomes weird. So if a person is praying the 5 times namaz and his wife is observing niqab and mashallah they're living a simple life and everything, people, they say, oh. I was at the park with my wife and kids some years ago. So this woman came over to my wife, complete stranger. She goes, is that your husband? I said, yeah. Does he not let you go to work? Randomly. Is he Mauli Sahab? Kaam nahi karne deta. My wife says, no, I don't work. But I don't want to work. I don't want to work. She goes, no, wo Mauli Sahab log hote hain, wo aise bahut strict hote hain. Zara azad raho. Complete stranger. And that's the dawat that's going on. One person came to me after Jummah namaz in a state of shock. He said, Mausab, you won't believe, like we say in our language, Qasam thi Mausab, Qasam, Qasme. I said, what happened? He said, Mausab, I met my school friend today. Right? And you know how it is. You're together in school, in madrasa, and then we go our separate ways. And then chance meetings that we get is if you pray Jummah namaz in the central masjid, and without praying your sunnahs, if you leave the masjid, you get to meet the whole world and the auntie, everyone's there. So he said, I stepped outside and I met this guy, school friend of mine. So I said, Assalamu alaikum. I said, how are you doing this? He said, yeah. So I said, what you got? What are you doing? So he goes, I've got some businesses. So he said, I asked him, yeah, what have you got? So he had these convenience stores, 7-Elevens, something like that, yeah. So he said, Mausab, you won't believe. I asked him, how many have you got? So Mausab, he's got 25 stores, Mausab. Convenience stores, yeah. And Mausab, he's the same age as me, 25. Right? He goes, Mausab, he's 25 years, he's got 25 stores. I said, God, Mausab, I can't believe it. So he goes, so I asked him. Now this guy, this friend of mine, he was coming Jamaat with us. So his khopri, his brain was a bit normal. You see? Abnormal in terms of dunya, but in terms of deen, he's coming back on track. So he goes, Mausab, I was shocked. So I asked him the next sensible question. Before I used to ask the majma, but what's the next sensible question? Sometimes I used to get weird replies, so now I don't ask. But you know what I mean. What's the next sensible question to a person who's 25 years old and he's got 25 stores? Sensible question is, bhai, mashallah, you must have put your feet up then. You must have retired. Yes? Masjid ka kona sambal liya. Yes? You've now handed it over to people. 25, you can live off that till the rest of your days. He said, that's what I asked him, Mausab. Guess what he said, Mausab? He goes, the guy, he looked at me like shocked, like I'd sworn at him. No. I'm not retired, no. So because I asked him that, when are you gonna like enjoy your money, put your feet up? You've hit the target. So he goes, he said to me, well, I've still got some targets, huh? Still got some targets in mind. When I hit the targets, then I'm just gonna, live the life. So now this friend goes to me, he goes, Mosa, but you know what? I was in a bit of a hurry. I regret now not asking him what his targets were. I goes, I know what his targets are. He goes, oh, Mosa, do you know him? I goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never met the guy. He goes, how do you know what his targets are then? I said, I know, bro. Why? Rasulullah has predicted this behavior. I said, his targets right now, he's thinking 25. 25, that's not a real number, is it? 25? Make it 30. 30 is a nice round number. Make it 30. When I got 30, after that, retired. After that, 40 days every year, 4 months every year, inshallah. 1 year every year, inshallah. Tabligh, inshallah. I'll do my namaz. I'll start praying namaz when I've got 30. I said, but you know what will happen? When he gets to 30, he'll think 30 is not a proper number, is it? Let me make it 35. And I goes, when he gets to 35, he'll think 35, that's not a proper number, is it? Tabligis talk about 40. 40 is a magic number. Let me hit a chilla. And when he gets to 40, he won't stop there. He'll think 40, that's not a number, is it? Let me hit half a century, 50. And he'll carry on. I said, you go back to him and you tell him that Osman said this is what's going to happen to you. If you don't stop now, if you don't go out in the path of Allah. I said, why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لو كان لابن آدم واديا من ذهب. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he predicted this. He said, if the son of Adam, the thirst inside a person, the greed for the dunya, if he doesn't make an effort on his iman, if a person isn't nurtured, if a person doesn't make an effort to grapple with his nafs, to control his nafs, and to become a true obedient slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he will become a slave of the dunya. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if the son of Adam had a valley full of gold, think of the Grand Canyon full of gold, right? We're thinking, Allah, if I had that, I'd retire. I'd be in the masjid all the time. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no. If you have not nurtured yourself, ahabba an yakuna lahu wadiyan. He will not be content. He'll still be rubbing his hands, greedy, salivating, staying awake at night, tension, because he wants a second one. And if he gets a second one, second valley full of gold, he won't be content. وَلَنْ يَمْلَأَ فَاهُ إِلَّا التُّرَابِ. The only thing that can fill the mouth or the stomach of the son of Adam is the soil of the grave. When he will die, he will be buried, the insects will eat his body will decompose. Quite literally, his stomach will open up, and then quite literally the soil, the walls of the grave will cave in, fall into his stomach, and then literally his stomach will be full. So this is a deception of the dunya. And we know, this is a hypothetical. You know people, maybe in our families, in our communities, we know people. So one guy, he bought a car. And, everyone was raving about the car. And they told me, and I said, yeah, mashallah, Allah wa marwana nasib kare, I give him dua. But I said to somebody, he got ripped off. Paid too much for it. Bossa, what do you know about cars? You drive your Vauxhall Astra, bossa. You stick to your Touran. Bossa, what do you know about cars? I said, I don't know much about cars, you're right, but he got ripped off. Now, bossa, he only paid 60,000 for it. Only. हमारी तो नींद सुनते ही नींद उड़ जाए 60,000 6,000 देना भी हमारे लिए भारी है. He only paid 60,000 for it. I'm saying only. I said he got ripped off. He said, no, he got a good deal. Those cars are worth a lot more. I said he got ripped off. I said, come on. कोई जो ऐसी कहो कि जो हमारी समझ में आया. Come on, you just. I said, listen, he got ripped off. So how? I said, you're not looking at the hidden price tag. What's the hidden price tag? He paid VAT. That's inclusive, 60 grand. I said, no, you're not looking at the hidden price tag. What's the hidden price tag? I said, the hidden price tag is the price that the accountant doesn't know about, Inland Revenue doesn't know about, and he himself hasn't even considered. What's that? I said, how many namaz did he miss? How many salat did he miss in order to earn the money to acquire the car? Do you not have to take that into consideration? How many 40 days has he missed? When was the last time he went for 3 days? When was the last time he sat in a tafsir? When was the last time he bonded with the ulama kiram? When was the last time? You got to take all this into consideration. And I said, this guy, I grew up with him. He used to come to my house to play. We live in the same town, just around the corner from each other. I said, in 30 years or more, Allah forgive us. I said, without exaggeration, I've not seen him in any masjid in the last 30 years. And brothers, you know there are people like that in our friend circle, in our families, people crazy for the dunya. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam predicted this behavior. The iman and effort on iman is so important. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, to the nearest effect, لا يزال قلب رجل شابا في اثنين أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The older a person gets, the younger his heart gets in two respects. This is for a person who is not making effort on his iman, on his nafs. If a person is not making effort, as he's getting older, two things उसके अंदर जोश मारती है, जवानी पकड़ती है. Two things get younger and younger. حب الدنيا وطول الأمل. One is love for the dunya. You see that all the time. You talk to a youngster, bro, what are you going to be? I don't know. Huh? What are you studying? Economics. Okay, what do you want to become then? Oh, no, he's over. I might be a pilot. What are you doing economics for then? Huh? One guy come to him, I said to him, how old are you? 25. I said, why didn't you get married? He said, yeah, Masa, I need to get married, but I can't, I don't have a house. I said, what do you mean? I said, get a house. He said, Masa, I don't have money. So how much money have you got? 750 quid. I said, 750 quid? You're a professional, you've been working 3-4 years. Where's your money gone? He said, Masa, I don't know. I said, listen, bring the receipts. What receipts? I said, in your car you have that little box or your glove compartment. I said, it's filled with receipts, bring them. Yeah? That's where all your money's gone. Yeah? Being sakhi, hatim tai with your mates. Oh, don't worry lads, I've got this. Friday night, every Friday night, every Saturday you're going out, you're picking up the tabs. So that's where your money's gone. You're supposed to save up. Yeah? Oh, what's up? Don't worry about it. Easy come, easy go. Yeah? And Chacha, you ask Baba, बाबा कुछ कबर की तैयारी कर. ना कैसी बात करते मौसा साहब, मैं तो जिम में जाता हूँ. अभी नहीं मरने का, मैं तो विटामिन लेता हूँ. मैं अभी नहीं मरने का. मौसा साहब कैसी बात कर, अभी से मुझे पैकिंग कर देंगे आप. अच्छा, तो क्या इरादा है? मैं तो पोते की शादी करा के जाऊँगा. अब देखना, माशाल्लाह अल्लाह ताला आपकी उम्र में बरकत दे. पोते कितने साल का है? पिछले हफ्ते पैदा हुआ. शादी करा के जाऊँगा. That's not exaggeration. People say they have long dreams. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Yes? Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam predicted, if the effort of iman is not made, and a young person, he's got no thing for the dunya, easy come, easy go. An old person is like counting every penny, he's like attached to it. A famous story of Harun Rashid, or one of the kings. He was a very pious king, so he heard that in his kingdom there's an old woman, very aged, who has allegedly met a Sahabi and heard a riwayat from a Sahabi or a Tabi'i. So Harun Rashid, when he heard that, he said, bring her to me. So they went and they bought her. She came and she was very old and frail. She came with the support of two soldiers. And she came, and Harun Rashid, he honored her. And he cried and he said, have you really heard the hadith? She said, yes. So can you repeat the hadith to me? So she recited this hadith that I just recited, right? And Harun Rashid, he cried. He said, Jazakallah for sharing this hadith with me. What was the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which she had allegedly heard directly from a Sahabi? That a person, as they get older, they get younger in two respects: love for the dunya and long aspirations. Harun Rashid was so overwhelmed. To honor her, he ordered the man to give her 60,000 gold coins. So when she saw it, she got so happy, she started crying out of joy. Right? So the first thing come true, love for the dunya. And then Harun Rashid said that now, you can go. So she started going, and after some time, he saw that she's coming back with the support of the soldiers. So he said, Ammaji, why have you come back? She said, I have a question. Jazakallah for all this you've given me. But I had a question came to my mind. This gift that you've given me, is it a one-off endowment, or are you going to give it to me every year? So Harun Rashid said, don't worry, Amma, every year it will be delivered to your premises. Don't worry about it. So Harun Rashid scratching his head, thinking, both the things have come true. Then she went off again. She said, Jazakallah, Jazakallah, went off. After some time, the soldiers came running, said she hadn't even managed to exit your palace, and Malakul Maut came to her and she passed away. Harun Rashid cried and he said, Sadaqallahu wa sadaqa Rasuluh. She was a living embodiment of the hadith. So now we have to measure ourselves. We live, brothers, in this world, in this country. If you're as young as me, you'll know. We used to have lino in our living room. There were no parking problems. Leicester walo ko pucho, parking problems. There was one car in the whole street. In our street, it used to belong to a Hindu chacha, right? But there was so much love. He was a friend of my dad's. My dad used to read the letters, translate the letters for him. And he used to drive us everywhere. He was our chauffeur. Sometimes we needed to go to Preston. We'd pile into this guy's car and he'd drive us there quite happily. Right? Telephone call, one telephone in the whole street. Telephone comes from India, Pakistan. First they call and they say, can you call them? Yeah, don't worry, call back after 10 minutes. Then they send a message and the whole family would pile down to the house. Everyone trying to talk on the phone. Yes? Central heating, not heard of. Double glazing, not heard of. On a cold winter's morning, we'd wake up and there'd be ice outside on the other side of the pane. But then there'd be ice inside as well. Right? This is how we lived. Times were hard. Yeah? And we had very little means. And the community really worked together, pulled together to build these masajid and madaris and everything. And alhamdulillah, that generation, Allah Ta'ala bless them, they worked hard and got us where we are. Now we have an abundance of dunya. Dunya is a ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it also comes with its problems. At the same time that we acquired the dunya, we didn't make the effort of iman. So the dunya overpowered us, and the evils of the dunya, we see them in our lives, in our communities, in our society. This is why it's so important for us to strive in the path of Allah to make the effort of iman. One of our elders used to say, Allah ke raste mein, yesterday I gave the example, Molana Sayyid Khan Sahib Rahmatullah used to say, Mujahada is the crux of this effort. Yeah. It's the essence of our deen. A Muslim is hard living. A Muslim is not scared of cold and hunger and, But what have we become now? What have we become? Our communities, look. I once went to a janaza in a far off place with an elder. So we sat down to eat, and loads of other people had come from Bolton, Preston, Blackburn, these places. So we sat down. So I ate quietly, and they were all talking. And then I went and sat. There were some sofas on the side. I went and sat there. The elder that I was with, he was a very slow eater. So he's eating and he's smiling away, listening to them. But he didn't say anything. So half an hour or so, they're talking away and eating, and the elder's there as well. After they all finished eating, they all came and sat here. So this elder, he was a da'i, an inviter, striving in the path of Allah. So he touched the topic. He said, Abhi hum khane pe kya baat kar rahe the? What were we talking? We were eating just now. What were we talking about? He said, we were talking about it. He wasn't talking. They were talking. So now they're all, staring at the carpet, all embarrassed. Nobody willing to answer. So I said, bhai, kya baat ho rahi thi? Nobody answers. So then he grabbed him. He said, bhai, batao. Khane ki baat ho rahi thi. The whole conversation, whilst they were eating, what they were talking about, oh, you've not come to our town. Come to our town. We got curry house. We'll show you what nihari is. We'll show you what paya is. We'll show you what masala dosa. Nah, come to Blackburn, come to Bolton, come to Preston, come here. Have you tried that place? Have you been to Leicester? Have you tried that place? That's all the talk was about. He said, खाने पे बैठे हैं, खाना खा रहे हैं और खाने की बात कर रहे हैं. We're eating. Food was supposed to be a necessity. Sahaba kiram used to eat to live. We live to eat. Picnic party, ha ha, he he, masala dosa, nihari, weddings, outings, gourmet burgers. Might as well tell you my gourmet burger joke now, innit? You know, when gourmet burgers first came out, I didn't know what one was. Somebody sent me a picture. So, Mosab, check this mother out. Mosab, you want to have one of these? I just looked at the price tag. Mosab. I said, no, thank you. So he sent me a massive picture. So I said, I looked at it. I'd seen burgers before, but I've not seen one this big. So, you know, gourmet burgers, because there's so many layers, there's chicken in there, there's beef in there, and all this. It has a skewer going through it as well, a stick going through it, innit? To stop. So I messaged him back. I goes, bro, what's that stick for? He goes, Mosa, it's a skewer. I said, what's that for? He said, Mosa, it's so big, it's so heavy, that if you don't have that stick, it'll topple over. I said, bro, I replied to him, I said, bro, you eat too many of them, pretty soon you're going to need a stick to stop you toppling over. Doctor Sahab, not good for you that. Like in Hamza, this is what we've become. And people brag about, Mosa, मैंने तो 10 रोटी ऐसे ही वार्म अप में मैंने 10 रोटी खा गया. That's what we're about. Mosa, itna khaya. Mosa, I was at home, I was starving. Wife was out with the kids, so I ordered a meal. 3 happy meals I ordered. I thought they'd be back. They didn't come back in time. I was starving. I turned them all. Mosa, I didn't even burp. Sahaba kiram, if they burped in public, they would be embarrassed. Today a person farts in public, he is not embarrassed. This is what we become. Khana, pina, ha ha, he, picnic party, holiday. Life's a melody, have fun. This is not the life of a Mu'min Muslim. We were supposed to be making the effort of Iman and Islam. We were supposed to be doing mujahada. Molana used to say, Maulana Sayyid Khan Sahib Rahmatullah, mujahada, it means undergoing hardships for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walladina jahadu fina, Allah ta'ala says, my promise is, if you undergo hardships, then I will give you hidayat. Today we're not willing to leave our orthopedic mattress, our wife's cooking, go out, sit on the floor, even for 3 days, 40 days, because we become accustomed to luxury and easy living. So Molana used to say, mujahada, the love mujahada, he said, ye mukhaffaf hai, it's an acronym also. He said, Meem is for mal, wealth, Jeem is for Jan, health, yourself, Alif is for awqat, time, health, wealth and time. Hay is for hijrat, moving. And Dal is for dawat, the amals of dawat. Yes? Giving dawah, inviting, listening to invitation, teaching and learning, zikr, ibadat, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, khidmat, these amals of dawat. And Hay is for hidayat. He said, if you will strive with your mal, jan, awqat, with that if you will do hijrat, माल जान अवकात के साथ हिजरत करो. और हिजरत करना काफ़ी नहीं, अल्लाह के रास्ते में निकल गए, फ़ोन पे बैठे रहे, बातें करते रहे, नहीं. निकलने के बाद दावत के अमाल में मशगूल रहो. एंगेज योर सेल्फ इन द अमाल ऑफ दावत. इफ़ यू डू दीज थिंग्स देन अल्लाह ताला विल गिव यू द लास्ट है विच इज़ हिदायत. मौलाना उमर पामपुरी साहब रहमतुल्लाह से दावत से ईमान बनता है. बट इफ़ यू हैव अ क्ले पॉट, अ जग, you make it out of clay, it's beautiful. But if you don't put it in the kiln, in the furnace, in the oven, when you throw it in the water, it will disintegrate. So he used to say that dawat se iman banta hai, mujahade se iman pakta hai. It's not enough to give dawat. Somebody can say, I'll stay at home, I'll give dawat, I invite loads of people. One youngster said to me, Masa, I give, you telling me to give dawat to 25 people, I give dawat to more than 25 people in college. The girls love it. I go from table to table. I talk to the girls, I give them not that kind of dawat. So giving dawat is not enough. Then mujahada. Mujahade se iman pakta hai. Then he said, hijrat se iman phailta hai. Then you must strive out in the path of Allah, because then you will become an example for other people. Other people will see, this guy, he looks like me, he talks like me, he's got hands and feet like me, he's got wife and kids like me, he's got a business as well. And yeah, he sacrificed all that to come out to learn Iman. I need to do that as well. We become an example for other people. Yesterday, mashallah, the 4-month Jamaat returned. I'm looking at my legs. When I look at them, I'm thinking, Ya Allah, Allah Ta'ala ne mujhe bhi do diya hai. Allah's given me too as well. What a scoundrel, what a rascal I am that I have not utilized these for the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just them looking at me, just them sitting in front of me is a dawat for me. Makes me feel this small, makes me feel embarrassed. You see the old people striving and we feel embarrassed. Their whole existence, their striving becomes a dawat for us. So he said, दावत से ईमान बनता है और मुजाहदे से ईमान पकता है. हिजरत से ईमान फैलता है, माहौल से ईमान बचता है. And then we have to create an environment to save our iman. This is a need of the time, brothers. We know what's going out there. We know what's happening now. We know the state of the ummah. We know, one elder, he said, हमारी ज़िंदगी तो इतनी बेदीन है, हमारी ज़िंदगी इतनी बेदीन है कि हमारे बच्चे भी हमारी ज़िंदगी से मुतासिर नहीं है. Us people who are supposed to be practicing, who are striving in the path of Allah, our lives are so irreligious that people, our own children are not. We have to tell our children again and again, pray namaz, do this, do that. So this is why this effort of iman is taking place. This is a beautiful effort, a wholesome effort. One person said to me, Masahab, yeah, I used to spend time, I don't go anymore because I think the tablighi effort is not wholesome enough. I said, La ilaha illallah. Effort of Anbiya Kiram not wholesome enough. It's not that the effort is lacking, it's that I am lacking. I am not making the effort as I'm supposed to be making. I am not striving as I'm supposed to be striving. I am not giving as, I know how much sacrifice I can give. And I know I need to go beyond that. Hafiz Patel Sahib Rahimahullah used to say always, so go beyond. Tarteeb ke chillo se kuch nahi hoga. When the taqaza comes, and everyone who's ever gone out with the elders, with Hafiz Patel Sahib and stuff, and these elders, they always test you. Yeah? They say, come along with me. Come on, we're going to Scotland for 2-3 days. After 2-3 days, you go along. After ijazat. No. You can't go. Yeah. So then you're like, he says, stay 2 days. Those 2 days become like 40 days. The person is crying and he's finding it so difficult. But that is what gets a person accepted. Why? Because he's given that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the extra, above and beyond. One person, our Amir Sahib, many years ago, he tashkil him. So he goes, Amir Sahib, I can't go. He was a taxi driver. He said, well, why not? He goes, if I go, then I won't be able to drive my taxi for 6 weeks. So I've calculated it. He said, I'm going to lose £1,000. Now, you can tell that this is a long time ago. Yeah? I'm going to lose £1,000. So because of that, I can't go. So Amir Sahib explained to him, he goes, by this loss, that is what Qurbani is. That you have to sacrifice your salary, your wife and kids, your wife's cooking, your creature comforts, to strive out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And our sacrifice is not like the Sahaba Kiram, but they're still sacrifices nonetheless. One of our Jamaats went 40 days local. So they came back and they were giving me karguzari. So one of the brothers, he said that, it was a 40-day Jamaat. So we worked in about 15 masjids. And then we came to Blackburn markaz and then went from here. Then we went to the town, their markaz and everything. So he said, Mosab, about 20 times, we packed up our kit, tied it up, lifted it, took it to the cars, loaded it in the cars, got to the masjid, unloaded it, took 3 flights of stairs all the way to the top, and then we had to stay there, and then after 2-3 days, pack it up again, carry it, and that in itself was a mujahada, when you have to take everyone's business up, Sometimes you think, well, have you got bricks in here? What are you doing? You got to help out. That in itself is a mujahada. Then there's food, but they're not big mujahada. They're no biggies, but it's small things which is taking us out of our comfort zone, which has a great value in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when this Qurbani will be given, I'll give a very last example. Molana Umar Palanpuri Sahib Rahimahullah, he used to give many examples. So one time he gave a live example of how it works, behind the scenes, we're striving in the path of Allah. That's apparent. We're doing this, we're doing that. Behind the scenes, the hand of Allah is working. And we can't see it. But sometimes Allah Ta'ala shows us remnants of the thing that's going on at the back. Molana gave a karguzari. He said that one time, this brother had gone out in the path of Allah for 4 months. And he's leaving his wife and kids behind. He'd left money for his wife, but she was struggling. So when Eid came around, she could not afford to buy new clothes for the children. So the children went out in their normal clothes. When they went out playing, the kids of the locality, they started taunting them and laughing at them. It's Eid day, we've all got new clothes on, you got old clothes on, you're too poor. So the kids came home, they started crying in front of the mother. Mother sat them down and mother said to them, listen, there are actually 2 types of Eid. One is the Eid of the dunya and the other is the Eid of akhirat. One is the Eid that becomes basi tomorrow, becomes stale. And the other is Sadabahar, evergreen Eid. You cannot wear new clothes. I cannot afford to make nice sweet meals at home and give you the best because your father is in the path of Allah. And we hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a reward, He will give us Eid in Jannat. And that Eid, our clothes will never get old, out of fashion, dirty or anything. And we'll live it up forever and ever in Jannat. So as she's crying, she's telling them this. Then she asked the kids, which Eid do you want? Do you want this one? Do you want that one? They said, no, we want that one. So she's satisfied. The kids stopped crying. Then the kids went out to play. Now the kids came again, local kids started taunting them. These kids, they said, hang on, take a minute, sit down. Then they gave them the same bayan from their mother. They said, there's two types of Eid. Your Eid, okay, you got good clothes today, but they're going to be old tomorrow. And there's another Eid waiting for us because our Abba is in the path of Allah. Molana Rahmatullah used to say, at the same time, the father, their Jamaat, they got to a masjid on the night of Eid. The people of the masjid have some misgivings, misunderstanding about the effort of Dawat, so they chucked them out, threw their misters out, you can't stay here. So they went and they decided to spend the night on the steps of a building. And it was freezing cold, winter. So they sat all night trying to sleep. In the middle of the night, a dog came and lifted his leg up and it urinated. Amir Sahib, who was sitting at the bottom, he woke up, he woke the Satis up. He said, listen, a dog has just come, urinated, splashes fell on my clothes, I know for sure, possibly your clothes as well. Yes? So we're going to have to change our clothes. They said, Amir Sahib, we don't have other clothes. We need to wash our clothes. So Amir Sahib said, we're going to have to wash the clothes and eat namaz, we've got to pray. So they went on the talab in the middle of the night with freezing cold water, they washed their clothes. And the next morning, they all wore these wet clothes and they went for Eid namaz. Molana used to say that they were shivering with cold as they're praying Eid namaz. This is a qurbani being given in the path of Allah. Over here, the qurbani is being given by the wife and kids. And these kids now telling the local kids that there's two Eids. These kids, the local kids started crying. They said, oh, we want that Eid. So they said, well, you can't have that Eid if your dad's sitting at home. Send him in the path of Allah. So the kids went home and they're telling their dads, Niklo, go in the path of Allah. Molana used to say, in the path of Allah, the husband is giving dawat. In the house, the mother is giving dawat. And in the street, the children are giving dawat. Har su dawat ki fiza ban rahi hai, har su hidayat ki hawa chal rahi hai. All four sides, the environment of dawat is being created, qurbani is being given, hearts are being turned. This is a beautiful effort and the miraculous effort of dawat that we have been given. Allah Ta'ala give me and all of us tawfiq to value this effort. Inshallah, we will hear more talks from the elders in the coming sittings, inshallah. So all brothers are requested, inshallah, we debate with ourselves, we make our own decisions. That, I'm at the crossroads now, dunya with all its glory is calling me. All of us, we've got dunya at our feet now. We can go. And if we go for haram, it's going to be plentiful. We know, we see it all the time. But then there's also deen, the taqaza of deen. Right now, the requirement of deen, Allah Ta'ala needs, or Allah Ta'ala wants, some people stand up and they protect the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the deen is being adulterated, not by non-Muslims, by Muslims ourselves. We are changing the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to give it that push and to bring it back onto that manhaj, we have to give sacrifice. So all brothers make an intention, inshallah. Inshallah. Jazakallah. Make preparation for namaz, inshallah. The responsible brothers are requested, inshallah. Abikullah.